The unexpected threat. In a distant corner of the galaxy, where stars were more than just dots in the sky and planets held secrets beyond imagination, a quiet hum of tension filled the air. The Galactic Council, a powerful assembly of various species and planets, was gathered in an emergency meeting. The threat was grave, and the atmosphere in the council chamber was thick with unease. It began with a series of strange signals. At first they seemed like random noise, but soon they formed a pattern, one that none of the council's experts had ever seen before. The signals came from a region of space known as the Nebula Rift, a mysterious and uncharted part of the galaxy. As days passed, the signals grew stronger and more coherent, suggesting that something or someone was on the move. The Council's primary concern was the sudden appearance of a new alien force, one that had been described in the intercepted signals as a formidable and highly advanced civilization. Known only as the Xylar, this species was rumored to have conquered entire star systems with ease. They were a race of warriors known for their ruthless efficiency and technological superiority. As the Council members debated the seriousness of the threat, a deep sense of foreboding gripped the room. The Xylar's approach was unlike anything they had encountered before. Their ships were rumored to be equipped with weapons that could turn entire planets into molten rock. The Council's best minds were working around the clock, but they found themselves at a loss. No one had any idea what to do. In the midst of this crisis, a small human delegation was sitting in a corner of the chamber. These humans were often viewed as the galaxy's underdogs, known for their bravery but also for their tendency to avoid conflict when possible. The delegation was led by Captain Jenna Morgan, a seasoned officer with a reputation for her quick thinking and resourcefulness. Captain Morgan and her team had been assigned a seemingly insignificant task: gather information about the Xylar threat and report back. It was a mission most considered a formality, a token gesture given to the human delegation. The other species in the Council had their doubts about humanity's ability to handle such a significant crisis. The other Council members, an array of aliens with diverse appearances and abilities, exchanged skeptical glances. They had witnessed humans in action before and had mixed feelings about their effectiveness. While the humans had displayed courage in the past, their methods were often unconventional, and their success was inconsistent. Captain Morgan, however, was undeterred. She understood the gravity of the situation and knew that even the smallest piece of information could be crucial. Her team, consisting of specialists in various fields, prepared for the mission with a sense of purpose. They were determined to prove their worth, despite the doubts cast upon them. As the meeting continued, a message arrived from the fringes of the Nebula Rift. It was a distress call from a nearby planet, one that had been in the path of the Xylar fleet. The message was fragmented, filled with static and fear. The inhabitants of the planet reported that their defenses were failing, and they pleaded for help. It was clear that the Xylar were advancing rapidly. The Council's discussion shifted from debate to action. Various species offered their resources and fleets to counter the threat, but the urgency was palpable. The Xylar were closing in, and the galaxy's collective defense needed to be organized quickly. Captain Morgan and her team were given their orders. They were to travel to the affected planet, assess the situation, and gather any intelligence they could. The mission was fraught with danger, but it was also an opportunity to showcase their capabilities. As they prepared to leave, Captain Morgan gathered her team for a final briefing. "We know the odds are against us," she said, her voice steady. "But we have something that can turn the tide: our determination and our ingenuity. Let's show them that humanity is not to be underestimated." With that, the human team set off towards the Nebula Rift. As their ship soared through space, the vastness of the galaxy seemed to press in on them. The mission ahead was daunting, but Captain Morgan and her crew were resolute. They knew that the survival of countless worlds depended on their success. In the background, the Council's chamber remained filled with anxious murmurs and whispered speculations. The other species watched the humans depart with a mix of curiosity and doubt. Few expected the humans to make a significant impact. However, the galaxy was about to learn that even those considered weak and cowardly could rise to the occasion in the face of dire threats. As the human ship entered the heart of the conflict, the true extent of the Xylar threat began to unfold. The coming days would test their courage and resourcefulness in ways they had never imagined. The fate of many worlds hinged on their ability to confront the unexpected and prove that even the most underestimated species could become the galaxy's greatest hope. The cowardly perception. The galaxy was buzzing with the news of the Xylar threat. Planets prepared their defenses and alliances were formed in haste. Amidst the chaos, a quiet spaceship made its way to the edge of the conflict zone. On board, Captain Jenna Morgan and her team were about to face the first real test of their mission. As they approached the war-torn planet, the team could see the damage from space. Cities lay in ruins, and smoke billowed from what used to be bustling centers of life. The sight was a stark reminder of the Xylar's ruthless efficiency. Despite the grim reality, Captain Morgan's team pressed on, their ship descending towards the planet's surface. In the Council's main chamber, the mood was a mix of nervous energy and skepticism. Representatives from various species discussed strategies and tactics, but their conversations often drifted towards one topic: the humans. The prevailing sentiment was one of doubt. "I don't see why we're relying on humans for this," muttered a grizzled veteran from the Zorvax species. "They've always preferred to avoid direct conflict. How can they possibly be of any help now?" The room filled with murmurs of agreement. The Zorvax, known for their strategic brilliance, had long been critical of humanity's methods. The humans, they believed, lacked the experience and bravery required for such a monumental task. Their previous encounters with humanity had only reinforced this view. Meanwhile, Captain Morgan's team was on the ground, surveying the damage and attempting to gather information. The planet's inhabitants, once hopeful, now looked at the humans with a mix of skepticism and hope. They had heard about the humans' reputation and were unsure whether to trust them. A local leader, a tall figure with striking blue skin named Orcs, approached Captain Morgan. "We're grateful for your help," Orcs said, though his tone was guarded. "But many here believe that humans are not equipped to handle this crisis. Our people have always seen you as cowardly." Captain Morgan felt a pang of frustration, but maintained her composure. "I understand your concerns," she replied calmly, "but we're here to do our best and help in any way we can. Sometimes, the most unexpected heroes come from the least expected places." As her team worked to assess the situation, they encountered several challenges. Communication systems were down, and most of the remaining defensive infrastructure was in disarray. The team had to rely on their ingenuity and resourcefulness, using whatever tools and technology they had at their disposal. Despite their best efforts, the skepticism from the local inhabitants and the Galactic Council continued to weigh heavily on them. Messages from the Council were laced with doubts, and the humans found themselves struggling against not only the Xylar threat, but also the negative perceptions that surrounded them. In the Council chamber, the debate continued. "We need results, not promises," said a stern voice from the Delthari species, known for their strict efficiency. "If the humans cannot prove their worth, we should focus our resources elsewhere." The pressure on Captain Morgan and her team intensified. They were aware of the doubts surrounding them and knew they needed to perform well to change the narrative. With every passing hour, the sense of urgency grew stronger. As they worked tirelessly, they began to uncover valuable intelligence about the Xylar. They discovered that the Xylar were not just a force of destruction, but had strategic weaknesses that could be exploited. This information was crucial, but the challenge was to communicate these findings effectively to the rest of the galaxy. Back on the planet, tensions were high. The local inhabitants watched as the human team made slow but steady progress. There were moments of frustration and setbacks, but Captain Morgan and her team remained focused. They knew that their actions would speak louder than words and were determined to prove themselves. One evening, as the sun set over the ruined city, Captain Morgan gathered her team for a brief respite. They sat on a makeshift camp, sharing a meal and discussing their next steps. "We're making progress," she said, trying to lift their spirits. "We're uncovering important information that will help us turn the tide." We just need to keep pushing forward. Her team nodded in agreement. Despite the harsh conditions and the doubts that surrounded them, they were united in their purpose. They knew that their success or failure would not only impact their mission, but also change the perception of humanity across the galaxy. The night was quiet, save for the distant sounds of ongoing conflict. As the team prepared for another day of challenging work, they reflected on the importance of their mission. They understood that they were not just fighting for survival, but also for respect and recognition. In the council chamber, the skepticism persisted, but the messages from the planet were slowly changing. Reports of the human team's progress and the valuable intelligence they were gathering began to reach the council. The initial doubts were starting to give way to a cautious optimism. As the humans continued their efforts, they began to see small victories. Each piece of information they uncovered and each obstacle they overcame added to their credibility. The perception of them as cowardly was beginning to shift, though there was still a long way to go. The true test of their bravery and effectiveness was yet to come. The Xylar threat loomed large, and the galaxy's future was uncertain. But Captain Morgan and her team were determined to show that even those who are underestimated can rise to the occasion and make a difference. The journey ahead was fraught with challenges, but the humans were ready to face them head-on. They knew that their actions would ultimately define their legacy, and they were prepared to prove that bravery and strength could come from the most unexpected places. Unexpected strengths as dawn broke over the devastated planet. The human team was already at work. The previous day's challenges had left them exhausted, but their resolve remained unshaken. Captain Jenna Morgan and her crew had gathered crucial intelligence about the Xylar, but their mission was far from over. The next steps were crucial. They needed to find a way to turn the gathered information into a decisive advantage. Captain Morgan's team had identified a significant flaw in the Xylar's approach. Their scouts had discovered that the Xylar relied heavily on a network of command centers for coordination. If these centers were disrupted, the Xylar's operations could be thrown into chaos. The challenge was to strike at these command centers without drawing too much attention. The team's strategy hinged on using their limited resources creatively. The humans had no large fleets or advanced weapons like the Xylar, but they had something else: ingenuity. They decided to create makeshift devices to jam the Xylar's communications and stealthily infiltrate their command centers. As they began constructing their devices, the team members worked together seamlessly. Engineer Mike Turner used scraps of metal and old equipment to build jamming devices, while communications specialist Sarah Lee crafted a plan to relay false information to the Xylar. The team's diverse skills came together in a way that showcased their unexpected strengths. Meanwhile, back at the Galactic Council, the debate continued. News of the humans' progress was trickling in, but many still viewed their efforts with skepticism. A prominent council member, Kralis of the Theric species, voiced the prevailing opinion. "We've seen nothing concrete yet. The humans' so-called ingenuity needs to prove itself." Despite the doubts, Captain Morgan's team was undeterred. They set out on their mission under the cover of darkness, moving carefully through the ruined city. Their objective was to disable key Xylar command centers scattered across the planet. As they approached the first target, tension ran high. The team used their jamming devices to disrupt the Xylar's communication network. The effect was immediate. The Xylar forces began to show signs of confusion and disorganization. Captain Morgan's team moved quickly, planting devices to create further chaos and buying themselves more time for the next phase of their plan. At the command centers, the team faced unexpected challenges. The Xylar were more alert than anticipated, and their defenses were more robust. Yet, it was in these moments of adversity that the human team's strengths truly shone. They adapted their strategies on the fly, using their knowledge of the planet's terrain and their ability to think creatively. The Xylar forces, used to predictable tactics, were thrown off balance. The humans, with their unconventional approach, created opportunities that had not been foreseen. Each small victory brought a sense of accomplishment, and the team's confidence grew with each successful mission. Back on the planet, the local inhabitants began to notice the change. The once dismayed citizens were now witnessing the unexpected impact of the human team's efforts. They saw the Xylar forces struggling and the city's situation improving. Slowly, the perception of the humans began to shift from skepticism to cautious respect. Auric, the local leader, observed the changes with growing interest. He approached Captain Morgan one evening as the team rested. "I must admit," Auric said, "your team has achieved more than we expected. Perhaps there is more to humans than we believed." Captain Morgan smiled, though she remained focused. "We're just getting started. There's still a lot to be done. But thank you for your trust." As the days passed, the human team's successes continued to mount. They managed to disable several command centers, significantly disrupting the Xylar's operations. The Xylar, now facing unexpected setbacks, began to reassess their approach. The once clear path of their invasion became uncertain, and their confidence wavered. The Galactic Council took notice. Reports from the planet detailed the human team's achievements, and the council members were forced to reconsider their earlier judgments. The humans' ability to turn the tide through sheer ingenuity and perseverance was becoming evident. Despite the growing recognition, the mission was not without its difficulties. The Xylar retaliated fiercely, and the human team faced several close calls. However, their determination never faltered. They continued to push forward, driven by their goal to help the planet and prove their worth. Captain Morgan's leadership was instrumental in maintaining the team's morale and focus. She emphasized the importance of their mission and reminded her crew of the impact they were making. Her ability to inspire and lead through adversity was a testament to the strength of human resolve. As the final stages of the mission approached, the human team prepared for a decisive strike. Their previous successes had given them valuable insights into the Xylar's weaknesses. They planned a coordinated attack on the remaining command centers, aiming to cripple the Xylar's ability to continue their invasion. The night before the attack, Captain Morgan gathered her team for a briefing. "We've accomplished a lot, but there's still a critical task ahead," she said. "Tomorrow we have the chance to make a lasting difference. Let's give it everything we've got." With renewed determination, the human team set out for their final mission. The outcome was uncertain, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their unexpected strengths had already made a significant impact, and they were determined to see their mission through to the end. The galaxy watched as the humans, once considered weak and cowardly, proved their mettle. Their creative strategies and unwavering determination had set the stage for a dramatic shift in the conflict. The Xylar's invasion was faltering, and the humans were emerging as unexpected heroes in the fight for survival. The turning tides. The sun rose over the ravaged planet. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Captain Jenna Morgan and her team had successfully completed their infiltration of the Xylar command centers, but the battle was far from over. The disruption they had caused was significant, but the Xylar were not easily deterred. They were regrouping, and the humans needed to act quickly to capitalize on their recent successes. The team gathered in their makeshift base, where the dim lights flickered as the energy reserves dwindled. The previous night's mission had pushed them to their limits, but their determination was stronger than ever. They were ready for the next phase of their plan. "Today is critical," Captain Morgan addressed her team. "The Xylar are regrouping and trying to regain their footing. We have an opportunity to push them back, but we need to be quick and decisive." The team was energized by her words. They knew that their recent successes had created a window of opportunity. The Xylar command centers had been thrown into disarray, and now was the time to strike a decisive blow. The plan was to launch a coordinated attack on the remaining Xylar strongholds. The team had identified several key targets that, if taken out, would cripple the Xylar's ability to continue their invasion. Captain Morgan's strategy involved a combination of direct assaults and sabotage, aiming to create a pincer effect that would overwhelm the Xylar defenses. As they set out, the team faced a new set of challenges. The Xylar, aware of the increased threat, had fortified their positions and deployed additional forces. The humans would need to use every ounce of their creativity and resourcefulness to overcome these obstacles. The first target was a heavily fortified supply depot. The team had to breach its defenses without alerting the entire Xylar force. Using a combination of stealth and deception, they approached the depot under the cover of darkness. Engineer Mike Turner and his team set up a series of diversionary explosions to draw the Xylar's attention away from their true objective. The diversion worked. As the Xylar forces rushed to respond to the explosions, Captain Morgan's team slipped into the depot. Inside, they quickly planted charges designed to destroy the supplies and disrupt the Xylar's logistics. The team worked swiftly, their movements synchronized and precise. Once the charges were set, they made their escape, just as the first explosions rocked the depot. The destruction was significant, and the Xylar's ability to sustain their operations was severely impacted. The team's success at the depot was a crucial step in turning the tide of the conflict. Their next target was a command outpost that coordinated Xylar operations on the planet. This mission was even more dangerous, as the outpost was heavily guarded and located in a high-security zone. The team had to navigate through a maze of defenses and avoid detection. Captain Morgan's team approached the outpost using a combination of stealth and ingenuity. They used makeshift camouflage and diversionary tactics to bypass the outer defenses. Once inside, they worked quickly to disable the outpost's communication systems and command functions. As they planted their devices, the team encountered unexpected resistance. Xylar forces, alerted by the previous attacks, were on high alert. The humans faced fierce firefights and had to rely on their training and teamwork to hold their ground. Despite the intense combat, the team managed to complete their mission. The outpost's communication systems went dark, creating confusion and disorganization among the Xylar forces. The impact was immediate. The Xylar's ability to coordinate their efforts was severely compromised. With their two major targets successfully hit, Captain Morgan's team prepared for their final assault. They had gathered valuable intelligence and disrupted the Xylar's operations, but the conflict was far from over. The Xylar still had a formidable presence on the planet, and the humans needed to strike decisively to achieve victory. The final phase of the plan involved a full-scale assault on the remaining Xylar strongholds. The team coordinated with local resistance groups and other allied forces, creating a united front against the invaders. The combined effort aimed to overwhelm the Xylar and force them to retreat. As the attack commenced, the battle raged across the planet. The Xylar forces, already reeling from the previous disruptions, faced a concerted assault from multiple fronts. The humans, working in tandem with their allies, pushed forward with relentless determination. The tide of the battle began to turn. The Xylar, caught off guard by the coordinated attack and the persistent resistance, struggled to maintain their hold. Their once imposing presence was eroded by the combined efforts of the human team and their allies. In the midst of the conflict, Captain Morgan and her team fought with unwavering resolve. They moved through the battlefield, their actions driven by the knowledge that their efforts were making a difference. The sense of unity and purpose fueled their determination. As the final push continued, the Xylar forces began to retreat. The human team's strategy had succeeded in breaking the Xylar's hold on the planet, and the once bleak situation was turning into a victory. The locals, witnessing the turnaround, joined in the fight, adding their strength to the effort. By the end of the day, the Xylar were in full retreat. The planet's inhabitants cheered as the invaders were driven back. The once skeptical locals now looked at the humans with newfound respect and admiration. The humans had not only disrupted the Xylar invasion, but had also led the charge in turning the tide of the conflict. Back at the Galactic Council, the news of the humans' success spread rapidly. The council members, who had once doubted humanity's capabilities, now acknowledged their extraordinary achievements. The humans had proven themselves as formidable allies and unexpected heroes. Captain Morgan and her team, though exhausted, were celebrated for their bravery and ingenuity. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, demonstrating that even those underestimated could rise to greatness. The turning tide marked a pivotal moment in the conflict. The Xylar's retreat was a significant victory for the galaxy, and the humans had played a crucial role in achieving it. The battle was not yet over, but the humans had shown that they were more than capable of facing and overcoming the greatest challenges. As the team looked out over the recovering planet, they knew that their work was far from finished. The victory was a crucial step, but the fight for peace and security continued. The humans had proven their strength and resilience, and their legacy as unexpected heroes was now firmly established. The final confrontation. The atmosphere on the battlefield was charged with tension as Captain Jenna Morgan and her team prepared for the final confrontation. The recent victories had given them a significant advantage, but the Xylar were regrouping for one last stand. The humans knew that this would be the ultimate test of their strength and resolve. The planet was now a battleground. The once vibrant cities lay in ruins, and the skies were filled with the smoke of ongoing conflicts. The Xylar's main stronghold, a massive fortress located in the planet's capital, was their final target. This fortress was heavily fortified and protected by a powerful shield, making it a formidable obstacle. Captain Morgan and her team had spent days gathering intelligence and formulating a strategy for the assault. They knew that a direct attack on the fortress would be suicide. Instead, they planned to use a multi-phase approach, combining ground assaults with a coordinated airstrike to breach the fortress's defenses. The final briefing was held in their temporary command center. Maps and tactical displays covered the walls, and the team members were focused and determined. "This is it," Captain Morgan said. "We've come a long way, but we need to finish this. We have a small window of opportunity to strike. Let's make it count." The team was prepared. Sarah Lee, the communications specialist, had been working tirelessly to hack into the Xylar's communication networks. Her goal was to disrupt their coordination and create confusion among their ranks. Engineer Mike Turner had been busy designing explosive charges that could penetrate the fortress's shield. As the sun set, casting an eerie glow over the war-torn landscape, the final phase of their plan was set into motion. The first step was a diversionary attack on the fortress's outer defenses. Captain Morgan's team led a coordinated assault, drawing the Xylar's attention away from the real objective. The diversionary force engaged the Xylar troops, creating chaos and drawing their focus. Explosions rocked the outer perimeter as the Xylar scrambled to respond. Amid the confusion, Captain Morgan's team moved stealthily towards the fortress. Their path was fraught with danger. The Xylar had deployed automated defenses and additional troops to guard the fortress's weak points. The team had to use every trick in the book to evade detection. They moved quickly, relying on their knowledge of the terrain and the intelligence they had gathered. As they neared the fortress, they encountered a major obstacle. The Xylar had reinforced the shield generator, which was the key to breaching the fortress. Mike Turner and his team worked quickly to disable the generator, using their improvised explosives to create a temporary breach in the shield. With the shield down, the team proceeded to the next phase of their plan. They set up a series of charges around the fortress's main entrance, timed to detonate simultaneously. The goal was to create a large enough opening to allow their forces to enter and neutralize the Xylar command within. The charges were set, and the team retreated to a safe distance. Captain Morgan's heart raced as she watched the countdown. The fortress's defenses had been formidable, but they had managed to outwit the Xylar. Now it was time to see if their plan would succeed. The charges detonated with a thunderous explosion, sending debris flying and creating a massive breach in the fortress's entrance. The team advanced through the opening, facing intense resistance from the Xylar forces. The battle inside the fortress was fierce, with both sides fighting tooth and nail. The humans fought with determination, their training and recent successes giving them the edge. The Xylar, though formidable, were caught off guard by the intensity of the human assault. Captain Morgan's team pushed forward, clearing their path as they advanced towards the heart of the fortress. The final objective was to reach the Xylar command center and eliminate their leadership. The command center was located deep within the fortress, heavily guarded and protected by advanced security systems. The team had to navigate through a labyrinth of corridors and security checkpoints to reach their target. As they approached the command center, they encountered the Xylar leader, a formidable figure known for his strategic brilliance and combat prowess. The leader was surrounded by elite guards, and the confrontation promised to be the ultimate test of their abilities. Captain Morgan and her team fought their way through the guards, their resolve unshaken. The battle was intense, with both sides pushing their limits. The humans had the advantage of surprise and determination, while the Xylar leader relied on his tactical skills and advanced weaponry. The fight reached its climax as Captain Morgan faced the Xylar leader in a one-on-one confrontation. The two warriors clashed, their movements a blur of speed and skill. The Xylar leader was a formidable opponent, but Captain Morgan's determination and experience gave her the edge. With a final, decisive blow, Captain Morgan defeated the Xylar leader, ending the command center's threat. The remaining Xylar forces, leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. The fortress fell into chaos as the invaders scrambled to escape. The humans emerged victorious, having successfully completed their mission. The fortress was in ruins, and the Xylar forces were in retreat. The final confrontation had been a hard-fought battle, but the humans had proven their strength and resolve. Back at their base, the team celebrated their hard-earned victory. The planet was now free from the Xylar threat, and the inhabitants rejoiced at their newfound freedom. Captain Morgan and her team had achieved what many had thought impossible, and their bravery and ingenuity had changed the course of the conflict. The Galactic Council, once skeptical of humanity's capabilities, now recognized the incredible achievements of Captain Morgan and her team. The humans had proven themselves as formidable allies and heroes in the fight against the Xylar. As the dust settled and the planet began to recover, Captain Morgan and her team prepared for the next phase of their mission. The final confrontation had been a decisive moment in the conflict, but the road ahead was still uncertain. The humans had shown that they were more than capable of facing and overcoming the greatest challenges, and their legacy as unexpected heroes was now firmly established. A new reputation. The war-torn planet, once a battlefield of chaos and conflict, was now slowly returning to a semblance of peace. The skies, though still streaked with remnants of smoke, were gradually clearing. The cities that had been ravaged by the Xylar invasion were beginning to rebuild, and the people were starting to recover from the devastation. Amid this transformation, the reputation of Captain Jenna Morgan and her team was undergoing a profound change. Back at their base, Captain Morgan and her team were greeted as heroes. The locals, who had once viewed the humans with skepticism, now looked upon them with newfound admiration and respect. The successful completion of their mission had not only secured the planet's freedom, but had also changed the perception of humanity across the galaxy. As the team settled into their new roles, they were met with a series of high-profile meetings and celebrations. The Galactic Council had summoned Captain Morgan to discuss the implications of their victory and to recognize their extraordinary efforts. The once doubtful council members now saw humanity in a new light. In the council chamber, Captain Morgan and her team were surrounded by representatives from various alien species. The atmosphere was a mix of formality and excitement as the council members prepared to acknowledge the humans' achievements. "Captain Morgan," began Councillor Thaylor, a tall and imposing figure from the Galarian species, "you and your team have accomplished what many believed was impossible. Your bravery and tactical brilliance have turned the tide of the conflict and saved countless lives. The Council is here to extend its deepest gratitude and to offer a formal commendation." Captain Morgan accepted the commendation with a humble nod. "We were simply doing what was necessary," she replied. "Our team's success was due to the combined effort and determination of everyone involved. The real heroes are those who fought alongside us, and the people of this planet who stood firm in the face of adversity." The council members listened intently as Captain Morgan spoke, their respect for her growing with each word. The recognition was not just for her and her team, but also for the resilience and ingenuity of humanity as a whole. Following the formal commendation, the team was invited to a series of public events and interviews. The media buzzed with excitement as they covered the story of the humans who had defied expectations and played a pivotal role in defeating the Xylar. The narrative was no longer about the cowardly humans, but about their courage, resourcefulness, and impact on the galaxy. During an interview with the galaxy's top news network, Captain Morgan shared her thoughts on the experience. "We faced incredible challenges, but we also discovered the strength and determination within us," she said. This victory is a testament to what we can achieve when we come together and believe in ourselves. It's not just about us. It's about proving that even the most underestimated can rise to greatness. The story of their success spread rapidly, and the once prejudiced view of humanity began to shift. The Xylar conflict had been a catalyst for change, and the galaxy's perception of humans was evolving. They were no longer seen as mere underdogs, but as capable and formidable allies. In the aftermath of the conflict, Captain Morgan's team was involved in numerous initiatives to aid in the planet's recovery. They worked alongside local leaders and other allied forces to rebuild infrastructure, provide humanitarian aid, and support the ongoing efforts to stabilize the region. Their involvement went beyond military achievements. They became ambassadors of hope and resilience. The planet, once a symbol of struggle, was now a beacon of renewal and unity. The humans' role in this transformation was a testament to their ability to effect positive change. The rebuilding efforts were a collaborative process, with humans and aliens working side by side to restore what had been lost. As the months passed, the new reputation of humanity continued to solidify. The Galactic Council began to view humanity as a crucial player in the broader galactic community. The humans were invited to participate in diplomatic missions, peacekeeping efforts, and joint ventures that showcased their newfound status as respected allies. Captain Morgan and her team found themselves at the forefront of these efforts. They attended high-level meetings, participated in diplomatic negotiations, and represented humanity in various galactic forums. Their experiences and insights were invaluable in shaping the future of interstellar relations. Despite the accolades and recognition, Captain Morgan and her team remained focused on their mission. They understood that their success was just one chapter in a larger narrative. The galaxy was still fraught with challenges, and their role in navigating these complexities was far from over.